Hey, it's Austin James. Yes, I'm living with diabetes, but it doesn't have to define me. Thanks to the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor, I get real-time glucose readings throughout the day. The Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor is small and easy to wear, giving me the freedom to focus on my life as a parent and a musician. Now this is progress. You can get a free sensor at freestylelibre.us.
Offer available for people who qualify. Visit myfreestyle.us to see all terms and conditions. Certain exclusions apply. Data on file. Abbott Diabetes Care. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
So what's it like to buy your first cryptocurrency on Kraken? Well, let's say I'm at a food truck I've never tried before. Am I gonna go all in on the loaded taco? No, sir. I'm keeping it simple, starting small. That's trading on Kraken. Pick from over 190 assets and start with the $10 in your pocket. Easy. Go to kraken.com and see what crypto can be. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to U.S. and U.S. territory customers by Payward Interactive Inc., PWI, DBA Kraken. View PWI's disclosures at kraken.com/legal/disclosures.
This is Optimal Finance Daily. Reflections on turning 30. From job seeker to corporate deserter in 10 years. By A Purple Life of apurplelife.com. I'm currently in Mexico celebrating turning 30 years old. I'm sitting here watching the sunset against an orange and purple sky while listening to the lapping of the ocean waves. During this week of relaxation, I found myself thinking back to who I was 10 years ago, at age 20, and how so much has changed in the last decade. 10 years ago, I was a junior in college and finally hitting my stride. I had a nice housing assignment with close friends in my hall and a workload that was manageable. But I also had one thorn in my side. I had heard from my recently graduated friends that despite having awesome grades and impressive connections, they were having a very hard time finding jobs after college. This knowledge struck fear into my heart because I had neither of those things. I didn't have the best grades because my mom told me to enjoy myself in college, and I did. I was also basically allergic to the thought of networking. So almost 2 years before graduation, I started reaching out to every alum who had anything to do with marketing to pick their brains about the industry and how to break into it. A decade ago, I was obsessed with finding a job so that I could support myself and not be relegated back to my parents' house as a failure. My unfair thought at the time, doing that is in no way a failure. On top of my schoolwork, extracurriculars, and time with friends, I made it my main job to actually find one. And exactly 10 years later, I'm focused on leaving the corporate world as fast as possible without sacrificing my current happiness. I'm writing this while sitting in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, staring at the beauty of nature. The landscape looks like it's straight out of Jurassic Park, with lush jungles teeming with life. The water is some of the lightest blue I've ever seen. I'm writing this while feeling strangely calm, despite my plan to upend my life in less than a year. A strange juxtaposition. I'm surprised with how stark of a contrast there is between my current mindset and where I was 10 years ago. I was so worried about finding a job, any job, not even one that I didn't hate. That wasn't even a consideration. I was worried about seeming like a failure. You gotta learn not to care what other people think, kid. I was scared I wouldn't be able to provide for myself, and in doing so, that I would disappoint my family. I'm shocked with how far I've come mentally, emotionally, and also financially. Hat tip to that initial worry junior year. It appears to have paid off. At that time, I had less than $5,000 to my name, and now I have almost $400,000, an amount that would have sounded ludicrous to my 20-year-old self. Here's what I've learned during the last 10 years. Number 1, corporate ambition is empty. After getting over the initial hurdle of finding a job in a less than ideal market, I was quickly sucked into corporate culture. I chugged that Kool-Aid. I was hired at my first company because the CEO was an alum. She actually responded to an email I sent and got me in touch with the HR department at her ad agency when my emails were relegated to the trash bin basically everywhere else. As a result of that referral, I got my first corporate job at a big agency in Manhattan. I saw this powerful woman running a company and having the power to lift others up with her. I decided that I wanted to become a CEO and walk in her footsteps. I wanted to make my prestigious degree worth it by doing something impressive. What the do these words really mean? After a few years of following other people's paths for success, I had a revelation and realized that all this that people said would make me happy was doing everything but. I had listened to others and bought the purses, heels, and first-class plane tickets. I worked my ass off for a promotion that never came and waited for it all to bring me the happiness I was promised. In the end, I achieved everything I set out to. I got that promotion and then another by job hopping. I bought everything I wanted and everything I was told I should want, and was still just as empty after it all. That's when I carefully assessed what I wanted and realized it wasn't this type of life. Corporate deference didn't mean anything to me. I didn't want a defining metric of my importance in this life to be how long people will wait for me on a conference call. So I turned my back on corporate America providing meaning in my life, and instead started to see it as a means to an end. As a result, I have erected boundaries and become a much more calm and grounded person, and counterintuitively, a better employee. I want my life to be filled with exploring this gorgeous world of ours and not sitting in endless meetings. I want to spend time with people I choose instead of people that are chosen for me by the HR department. And number 2, loved ones are everything. When I was 20, I had a vague idea of how I wanted the rest of my life to play out. And the first order of business after finding a job was leave the US. I wanted to live abroad. I had traveled around the US and Europe at that point and decided that Europe was a better fit for who I was with its pedestrian first mentality and seemingly higher level of empathy for fellow human beings. To test this lifestyle, I lived in Italy for 6 months during the latter half of my junior year. It was a precursor to me moving out of the States ASAP, and I expected to be instantly ecstatic with my surroundings and how well the continent fit me. I was shocked with my findings. I learned that I deeply missed my family, my mom in particular. And this was before we were very close. We have since become attached at the hip, but the amount I missed her was staggering to me. It felt like a constant pain in my gut that would flare up when I should have been enjoying myself on a spontaneous trip to Rome. This was accompanied by a weird low-level stress at all times that took me a while to identify. I originally thought that it was because I was speaking, reading, and living in Italian at all times, but that wasn't it. It was the lack of deep connections around me. I made great lifelong friends in Italy that I see to this day, but that distance from the closest people I love was surprisingly unbearable, so I changed my life plan. I came back to the States and have included proximity to the people I love as a key consideration in all of my decisions since. During my working years, that has required some tough decisions, such as moving further from my mom to Seattle in order to cut my time to retirement in half so I can spend long, uninterrupted stretches with her sooner. This is still something I'm working on, but learning this about myself has helped me pinpoint what exactly makes me happy so I can go after it. Having more time with loved ones before it's too late is my main impetus to retire as early as possible without sacrificing my happiness now. Conclusion. So now I'm here, less than a year before I quit my corporate job, enjoying uninterrupted time with loved ones, and looking towards the future with hope and satisfaction while knowing that I'm working towards the life I want instead of one that's driven by fear or the expectations of others. How have you changed in the last 10 years? You just listened to the post titled Reflections on Turning 30, From Job Seeker to Corporate Deserter in 10 Years by A Purple Life of apurplelife.com, and I'll be right back with my commentary.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes in detail.
Future you faces some big expectations. Work out more, go to bed earlier, and most importantly, make smart money decisions. Thankfully, today you has Bank of America. One place with tools and guidance to help balance tasks from budgeting to saving. So you can just be you with big plans. Do more with a bank that asks, what would you like the power to do? Explore our tips and more at bankofamerica.com/futureyou.
As soon as I read the line, corporate ambition is empty, I was transported back to how soul-crushing my corporate job was. On the one hand, it was a very creative job. I got to dream up new products and brand extensions and then go figure out how to bring them to market. But on the other hand, I spent an unreasonable amount of time stressing about things that simply didn't matter. It's not like I was curing cancer or contributing to society in any meaningful way. I was actually contributing to the consumerism I've come to find so harmful to our sense of well-being. I would lose sleep over a late shipment of Budweiser t-shirts to Walmart, or a client who was losing their over a product being a slightly different shade of blue than the brand book specified. So now I had to ask the manufacturer to spend tens of thousands of dollars to remake it and add all that less than perfect product to a landfill. I prioritized this meaningless work over my health and relationships. From my current vantage point, it's embarrassing. But at the time, I thought my career was impressive. I had an office in the Empire State Building, and I worked with billion-dollar brands and celebrities. I made a 6-figure income doing work that didn't contribute to the world in a way that I'm proud of. There will be no mention of my corporate career on my tombstone, but it did serve a purpose. It got me to the financial position to be able to opt out. Now I have the privilege of making much less money, but doing work that I know is having a much bigger impact. And that should do it for today. Thank you for listening every day and sticking around till the end. Have a happy rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.